All right, let's dive into the world of Monero.
Sounds good.
It's a cryptocurrency that really puts privacy front and center.
Definitely. We're going way beyond Bitcoin today, even further than Zcash. Monero, it's all about untraceability.
Yeah, and from what I've read, Monero came about because some people wanted something even more private than Bitcoin. Almost like a digital version of cash.
Perfect analogy. With Bitcoin, every transaction is out in the open, recorded on a public ledger like a permanent record.
Right, but Monero aims to make those transactions vanish without a trace.
Yeah, disappear completely.
And this is where fungibility comes in, right?
Exactly.
Big deal for Monero. It means that every single XMR coin is equal. Unlike Bitcoin, where a coin's past transactions can affect its value.
Absolutely. With Bitcoin, you could have a coin that's considered painted because it was used in, let's say, a questionable transaction, maybe even something illegal. And this can make people hesitant to accept it.
They think, oh, where has this coin been?
Exactly, but Monero erases that whole concern, makes every coin indistinguishable from another.
So Monero sounds amazing in theory, but how does it pull off this level of privacy? What's the magic behind it?
Well, it uses some pretty clever cryptographic techniques. 3 main ones, actually. Ring signatures, stealth addresses, and something called ring CT.
Okay, ring signatures. That sounds like something out of a spy movie.
Yeah, it does.
Break it down for me. How do they actually work?
Imagine you're sending a secret message, but you don't want anyone to know it came from you, so you mix it in with a bunch of other postcards.
Oh, I see.
No one can tell which one's yours.
Clever.
That's basically what a ring signature does. It takes the sender's signature and mixes it with a bunch of decoy signatures.
Making it really hard to trace back to the original sender.
Pretty much impossible.
Like a digital vanishing act.
And then you have stealth addresses. Those are like secret mailboxes, but they only exist for a single transaction. Every time you receive Monero, a brand new address pops up.
Wow.
Impossible to link those transactions back to your wallet.
So every transaction is like a covert operation.
You could say that.
And then there's this ring CT, right?
Yes, ring CT. Short for ring confidential transactions. This one is a real game changer. It takes privacy up another notch by hiding the amount of Monero being sent.
Wait, so even the amount being sent is a secret? That's taking privacy to a whole new level.
It is.
But how does Monero motivate people to keep the network running? I know with Bitcoin, you have miners who get rewarded with new coins.
Right.
What about Monero?
Well, Monero uses something called tail emission, which is a unique economic model. Unlike Bitcoin, which has a fixed supply, Monero continues to generate tiny amounts of new coins forever.
So there's always a little something for miners.
A little incentive to keep things running smoothly.
Smart way to make sure things keep going in the long term?
Exactly. It gives miners a small, steady reward even after most of the Monero coins have been mined. And this helps keep the network safe and prevents it from getting stuck.
Okay, all of this is really fascinating. But who's Monero really for? Is it only for people who are really, really concerned about their privacy?
Well, privacy enthusiasts are definitely drawn to Monero, but it has a wider appeal too. Businesses, for instance, can use Monero to protect sensitive financial data, ensure their transactions stay confidential.
Yeah, in today's world, keeping your business secret is more important than ever.
Absolutely. And think about transactions like donations to political causes or helping whistleblowers. Privacy can be really important in those cases.
Right. It protects people from potential backlash or discrimination based on their finances.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that any currency, even cash, can be used for illegal things. Just because something can be misused doesn't mean there isn't a legitimate need for privacy and individual freedom.
It's a complex issue for sure.
It is.
Sounds like we're getting into some deep philosophical waters here.
Yeah,
I'm interested to hear more about the arguments on both sides of this privacy debate. And I'm also curious how Monero compares to other privacy-focused cryptocurrencies like Zcash.
Great questions. We'll definitely explore those in more detail. But first, let's look at some of the ways Monero could be used and how its unique economic model actually works in the real world. You mentioned those regulatory concerns around Monero. It's definitely a big talking point.
Yeah, it does feel like a tug of war between, individual freedom and people who want more control and oversight.
Right.
So where do these concerns about Monero's privacy mostly come from?
Well, a lot of the worry comes from the fact that these Monero transactions are, they're practically untraceable.
Yeah.
And some people argue that this could make it attractive for illegal activities, like money laundering or even funding criminal organizations.
Right. I can see how law enforcement might be a little hesitant. They're to having at least some transparency when it comes to financial transactions.
Yeah. But what about the arguments for this privacy first approach? What do people say in favor of Monero? Well, people who support Monero really emphasize that fundamental right to financial privacy.
Okay.
They say individuals should have control over their own financial information.
That makes sense.
And not every single transaction needs to be public knowledge.
It's like using cash. You wouldn't want everyone to know about every cup of coffee you buy.
Exactly. And think about things like donations to political causes or maybe supporting whistleblowers. Privacy can be really crucial in those situations.
So it's about protecting people
Yes.
from, potential backlash or discrimination just because of their financial activities.
Exactly. And Monero supporters often point out that, well, any currency, even cash, can be used for illegal things.
Right. It's how it's used.
Focusing only on the potential for misuse, it ignores the legitimate need for privacy.
Right. And freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a complex issue with valid points on both sides, for sure. It feels like the whole debate around Monero's privacy is part of this much larger conversation.
Yeah.
About, the balance of power between individuals and institutions in this digital age.
You got it. And this debate's only going to get more intense as Monero becomes more popular and its role in the financial system keeps developing.
Right.
But let's put the regulations aside for a second and get back to the technical stuff. We talked about those 3 core privacy technologies in Monero, but how do they all work together? It's one thing to understand each piece separately, but it's another to see how they fit together to create this fortress of privacy.
It's like knowing the parts of an engine, but not really understanding how they make the car move.
That's a great way to put it.
Give us the full picture. How do these technologies actually work together?
Okay, so think of it like this. Ring signatures, they're like camouflage.
Okay.
Stealth addresses are like secret drop-off points.
Okay.
And Ring CT is like this opaque packaging that hides what's inside.
So it's like a multi-layered system where each technology, it supports the others and creates this really comprehensive privacy shield.
Yeah, you got it. When you make a Monero transaction, ring signatures hide your identity by mixing your signature with others. At the same time, a stealth address pops up just for that transaction, so it can't be traced back to your wallet. And then Ring CT comes in and hides the amount of Monero being sent.
So it's like a triple encrypted message.
Yeah.
That only the person it's meant for can actually read. That's pretty amazing.
It is.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. Monero isn't just about individual privacy. It's about creating a system where financial transactions are just inherently confidential. So what does that mean for the future of finance? What could this lead to?
It's a big question, isn't it? Imagine a world where businesses can do business confidently, knowing that their sensitive financial data is actually protected. Or think about secure micropayments and totally new business models built around privacy.
It's a world with tons of possibilities.
Yeah.
But I imagine it comes with its share of challenges too, right? Maintaining this level of privacy, it must take cutting-edge technology and constant innovation.
You're right. Monero has a whole community of developers who are dedicated to improving the protocol, to addressing any potential weaknesses.
So it's like an ongoing race, right? Trying to stay one step ahead of anyone who might try to crack Monero's privacy features.
You could say that.
Makes you realize that privacy, especially in this digital world, it's not something you achieve once and you're done. You have to keep working at it.
It's an ongoing process.
Yeah. So we've talked about Monero's dedication to privacy and its potential impact on the future of finance, but we haven't really talked about, the core of any cryptocurrency. It's economics.
You're talking about the mining process.
Yeah, the mysterious world that keeps the whole cryptocurrency ecosystem running.
Right. And remember how we mentioned Monero's tail emission? This is where things get really interesting.
All right, let's break down this tail emission thing. I remember you said it was a key difference between Monero and Bitcoin.
Yeah, it really is. See, with Bitcoin, there's a set number of coins that can ever be mined. 21 million, that's it. And the reward that miners get, it keeps getting cut in half.
Right.
Eventually it'll reach 0. But Monero, it does things differently.
Right. With tail emission, miners still get a little reward.
Yeah, a small one, but it's constant.
Even after most of the Monero is out there.
Exactly. And that makes sure there's always a reason to keep the network secure and up and running. Miners, they're crucial for verifying transactions, making sure no one's trying to spend the same coin twice. It's called double spending.
Right. So tail emission keeps those miners on the job, make sure the Monero blockchain stays, well, honest.
You got it.
But doesn't creating new coins all the time lead to inflation? Wouldn't that make the existing Monero worth less?
It's a good question. But the way Monero's tail emission is designed, it's super gradual. A tiny trickle compared to what's already out there. Think of it like a small, predictable bump in the money supply, similar to how central banks manage regular currencies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's controlled.
So it's inflation, but in a way that's managed to try and keep the value of the currency stable.
Exactly. And because it's predictable and everyone knows how it works, it doesn't create those wild swings or uncertainty you might see with other economic models. And that actually leads into another interesting part of Monero, the way mining works.
Oh, what's different about Monero mining?
Well, unlike Bitcoin, which needs all this specialized energy-guzzling hardware,
Right.
Monero can actually be mined with ordinary computers. You could even mine it on a laptop.
Wait, so you're saying I could, help support the Monero network from my couch? That's wild. What's the thinking behind structuring Monero mining like that?
It all comes back to Monero's idea of decentralization.
Yeah.
By making mining accessible to anyone, it spreads the power around. It reduces reliance on those massive industrial-scale mining farms. It's almost like democratizing the whole mining process.
So it's not just the currency itself that's decentralized, it's the whole system that supports it.
Exactly.
That's a really, really cool approach. Thinking about all of this, the privacy features, the tail emission, the accessible mining, it feels like Monero is trying to build a totally different kind of financial system. One that's, more private, more fair, and more resilient, I guess.
You've really hit the nail on the head there. Monero is like this unique experiment in the world of crypto. It challenges how we think about things and makes us rethink our whole relationship with money and financial systems.
And speaking of challenging conventions, how do these ideas stack up against other privacy coins like Zcash? We've touched on this a bit here and there throughout our deep dive.
Right.
But give us the rundown. Bitcoin, Zcash, Monero, how do they compare in terms of privacy?
Okay, imagine a privacy spectrum. At one end, you've got Bitcoin, total transparency. Every single transaction is out there for everyone to see.
Like a digital open book, no secrets there.
No secrets at all. And then you've got Zcash somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
It gives users a choice. They can shield their transactions, make them private, or they can go the transparent route, just like with Bitcoin. So it's flexible.
It's kind of like a hybrid, a little bit of both worlds.
Exactly. But then you have Monero, and Monero's different. With Monero, privacy isn't a choice, it's built in. Every transaction is private automatically.
So out of the three, it's the most privacy focused.
Definitely. It really shows how these different cryptocurrencies approach privacy in different ways, different philosophies, different priorities.
Yeah, it makes you think about the bigger picture too. The role of privacy in our digital lives.
Exactly.
In a world where our data is constantly being gathered and analyzed, Monero offers this vision of a future where our financial transactions can stay confidential, where we have control over our own information.
A powerful vision.
Yeah, it's been incredible exploring Monero with you. I have to say, it's definitely given me a lot to think about. We've talked about its origins, its complex privacy technologies, the whole regulatory landscape, the unique economics, how it compares to other cryptocurrencies. It's been a journey.
Well, I hope our deep dive has helped you understand Monero better.
Yeah.
And the big questions it raises about privacy, security, the future of finance.
It absolutely has.
Yeah.
But remember, everyone, this is just the start. There's a whole world of information out there about Monero. We encourage you to check out the sources we provided, keep digging, and come to your own conclusions. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.